Yeah, we suck right now. The culture is actually like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from the pick sixes.
As the new NFL season officially begins with the start of free agency, there are unfortunately some things we must go over. New rules. As with most things the league has done, it's allegedly meant to improve the game, but some of them have led to more controversy than not. One of these changes that totally won't cause this is the banning of the hip drop tackle. Any infraction called by officials will now be 15 yards and an automatic first down. Another judgment call penalty and a league plagued by them. Oh, wonderful. The replay booth can now review instances of roughing the passer and intentional grounding. But knowing how well the pass interference reviews went, my hopes aren't high. What could be ironically useful are the new kickoff rules. They had to do something about them. The kickoff had been relegated to nothing but touchbacks for the most part. If you watched the XFL this past year, there'll be a slightly modified version of them. The kicker kicks off at his 35-yard line, and the kickoff special teams line up at the opposing 40. All but two players on the return team line up at the 35-yard line, not to move until the ball is received by a returner. The goal for the kicking team is to hit it in the landing zone, between the 20 and the goal line. If a ball lands or goes out of the end zone for a touchback, the ball is spotted at the 30-yard line. If it goes out of bounds, it's spotted at the 40 like it was before. Onside kicks also must be declared, thus eliminating surprise onside kicks. We'll definitely be complaining about these things in the future, but their newest gift to us comes with 2 games on Christmas. Wednesday football is back after a 4-year hiatus. The NBA is seething in the corner. Cincinatti is in transition. Not necessarily due to their disappointing season, but cap issues and a desire to refortify certain positions on the team. Many key skill position players and trench pieces have left the franchise. Round killer Joe Mixon and Raven killer Tyler Boyd are gone. T. Higgins is most likely next. He's franchise tag, but the Bengals don't necessarily have the space to pay him what he wants. No bias, you should totally send him to Pittsburgh, please, and thank you. Don't worry, Zach Moss is gonna gash Pittsburgh as your new running back. It's a solid replacement for an aging Mixon. Mike Gesicki is a revival project at tight end. Trent Brown is your future New England Patriot signing after he somehow flops here. Sheldon Rankins and his flashes of brilliance to replace DJ Reader. The reunion of old with Von Bell after being told to go away from Carolina, a huge addition to their secondary. Not to mention Geno still poached from Baltimore as well. It's a reloading year. They only missed the playoffs because of a Burrow injury. If he stays healthy, they'll be in good shape.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Amarius Mims, tackle, Georgia.
This is the Jonah Williams replacement at right tackle. And the eternal struggle to find a viable offensive line to protect Joe Burrow continues on. They've had their moments, but for the most part, things haven't been optimal in the Queen City. And it's not just with Burrow's injury. We know about the T. Higgins impasse, and it's not only him that's unhappy. Trey Hendrickson has also requested a trade. He, like T, wants to be paid what he's worth now. A dangerous situation is afoot. And while Mims should help out with their protecting Burrow woes, there's a lot more to unravel in this box. Good luck there, Cincy. Cincinnati's in an interesting place right now. Last year was undone by the most obvious burrowing in the world. The whole year just felt lost. And by trying to fix up weaknesses on the offensive line, the end result has been more disappointment and struggles on the offensive line. Questions about their short-term future linger on. Yet Burrow will remain. If he's healthy, the Bengals will continue to be relevant, but who is he throwing to? T. Higgins is on the franchise tag and might be gone at the end of the year. They probably won't have the money to pay him, because Jamar needs to be paid. He's just showing up so he won't get fined. No practices until recently, but a lot of vibes. Most of them negative. It's the changing of the guard at Paycor, particularly at running back. The AFC North is always a gauntlet. Getting some upgrades on defense will help, but the challenges will be enormous. There's plenty of work to be done. Get after it. The AFC is a lot like recent years. Very wide open, but seems to lack the true power that it once had. Most of it has to do with general aging and salary cap constraints, but there's a lot of intrigue and probabilities to go around. You can make an argument for many teams here to make the playoffs. And that's a good thing for us all. The AFC East particularly has a new opening. While it's available, I still feel that Buffalo squeaks by despite competition from the Jets and Dolphins. The AFC North, it's still the Baltimore Ravens. They've always been a strong regular season team. The AFC South is very interesting. Every team's got a legit shot, but I'm choosing the Texans due to their talent level. The AFC West is still the Chiefs because God hates us all. But wild cards? Damn, that's tough. I'm going with Cincinnati, the Jets, and Jacksonville. Honestly, just throw darts on a billboard and you'll have a better chance of picking them. Such is how we all like it. Preferably with endless chaos. Some things somehow end up circling back in a repetitive loop. Cincinnati's perpetual pain down the Escaloozer is apparently one of them. It's week 1 and there's optimism of Joe Burrow returning from injury. Jamar Chase is back after a lengthy holdout despite lacking an extension. This should have been a cause for celebration, but it merely turned to pain. The Cincy cycle is scoring a big touchdown, but it gets overturned. Then on the next play, throw a pass that should have been a touchdown only for the tight end to fuck the ball. Guy was barely touched, you just fucked the ball! What the hell do you do that? Was it with the same hands that muffed the punt? Every opportunity was there to regain control and they laid a dud with countless mistakes. Patriots merely played safe ball and ripped the game away from them in the night. A statement win for Gerard Mayo and a rebuild. The biggest week 1 upset since 2018. This is the kind of loss that is a team kicking themselves in January. Just saying, Bengals. Why you asking, September Bengals? Why must you keep bungling even the most basic of things any given week? It started with pissing off Jamar so much that he's refusing to reopen negotiations for a bit. Continues with T. Higgins having to dog allegations of faking an injury, and finishes with this disaster piece against the Chiefs. Remember when they called it Burrowhead? That totally hasn't aged like rancid milk. And what's worse is that Cincy had every single opportunity to bury their opponent alive. Their defense was dialed in for the most part. Mahomes looked human. He made countless mistakes. Kansas City lost Isaiah Pacheco not just for the game, but most of the year. This should have been a statement win. But it was only a statement in agony. It isn't Cincinnati without a death-defying interception by Cam Taylor-Britt, backing up his trash talk while covering the guy he was talking shit about, getting a chance to bury the Chiefs in their home. And then Joe Burrow Slim Shady's the football, allowing Kansas City to scoop and score. Go fucking figure. Try another drive where they're moving the ball. The Zebras miss a potential hip drop penalty, and then Jamar gets so pissed that he gets flagged for mouthing off about it. Drive dead, field goal incoming. The next offensive chance to do anything? Not with Burrow getting sacked for a devastating loss. You'd think all this alone would be enough. And then came the Chiefs' 4th and a mile.
Here he's coming up. Now he's going laterally. He's going to throw it on the run, and it's broken up, and there's no flag. Oh, flag comes in late.
You literally bailed them out. You had the game in your grasp, and you did that? Why do you keep doing this to yourselves? Oh no, the conspiracy! It's rigged for the Swifties, they'll say. But that was textbook pass interference, hard-coded in the modern NFL. The only rigging here is them on the damn gallows, and you know it.
Butker's kick for the win. He buries it.
It's one thing to have slow starts. It's another to lose winnable games with self-inflicted wounds. With how the Bengals keep shooting themselves in the foot, they may as well have landed in Kansas. Maybe they'll find that infamous Burrowhead there, too. Game circled as a supposedly easy win has now become critical to Cincy's efforts. In the jungle, there is treachery everywhere. And this was more of the same. Cam Taylor-Britt doubled down on the shit-talking and flat-out called Washington a college offense. Well, that college unit made you fuckers look like high schoolers. Jaden Daniels might be good at this quarterbacking thing. Dissecting a stout defensive unit for 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing TD, and a 90% completion rate. He's showing significant promise and he can't be stopped. The punters on both sides were taking siestas. Turnovers did too. Cincy's offense did everything they could to keep up, but Joe Burrow sadly can't cover Scary Terry. That's crazy to say about these Bengals, but life dumps Skyline chili all over them. Despite desperately keeping close, Daniels is having his breakout. A final drive of legend, converting big play after big play, eating metric shit tons of clock like it's a mukbang. All this leads to one reality for Cincy.
They're down in 7. This one is launched from McLaurin. He's got it! Touchdown! Touchdown, Terry McLaurin!
A repetitive loop. No matter what the Bengals do, they will continue to bungle every situation possible. Cincinnati, the Lords of Cinder, staring into the barrel of an 0-3 start. and they have no one to blame but themselves for it. This was supposed to be a playoff team. Now they're in panic mode thanks to bulletin board material and a spongy defense. Being beaten by a bunch of undermanned commies. What a humiliating way to go. The Battle of Ailing Cats. One has cat scratch fever. The other's just high off catnip. Which one is which? Depends on Andy Dalton being able to secure revenge against his old team. Unfortunately for the Panthers, they were playing a team that gave a shit. Cincinnati may be 0-3, but this is the epitome of a must-win contest for them. Red Rifle would try to go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow, and Carolina did look serviceable, but the duo of Joe and Jamar Chase refused to be deterred. Sure, the Bengals' defense sucks, but Carolina simply lacks the firepower to keep up with their foe. Blatant flaws and random ugliness aside, the skid is over. Burrow was just a man possessed. His first win with bleach blonde hair. It doesn't really prove much for them, though. The real test is next week. Baltimore lurks in the corner. They want you served on a platter. Will you resist their calls to be cooked alive? Or is their god-awful run defense gonna ruin them before they have a chance? True test for Cincy has come. Can they finally snap out of their spell, or will Baltimore put them in a potentially devastating chokehold? Rivalry games tend to bring out the best between foes, and this game is no different. The only twist is that this is anti-AFC North football. There will be offense. There will be plenty of offense. Defense is merely used as decorative pieces for the most part. Minus a safety by Cincy. The stars of the show are Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. It's understandable as to why. They're putting on a contest of the year. Almost a century mark of yardage between both teams, most of those through the air. Those poor secondaries. Cam Taylor-Britt won't be talking shit this week, especially considering how bad the Bengals defense has been as of late. To be fair, you don't really have to when Jamar Chase is torching defenses like he does. Wonder if they'll pay him soon. He's gonna break the market like he breaks coverages. Down by 10. Strange territory for Baltimore. Fortunately, this is not January, so the Ravens will be able to strike with the precision reserved for low-pressure situations. We can only watch in horror. Lamar's learning from King Henry. He's mastered banishment spells. Good God. But Cincy isn't going to allow Baltimore a chance to tie with Joe Burrow's excellence, right?
Here goes Burrow. It's picked off! Intercepted by Humphrey! Humphrey's picked off the ball for the Ravens!
Of course it's the first real mistake he's made all game. Of course it fucking is. But think of it this way. The Bengals have finally managed to make a stop. Justin Tucker can no longer make a kick over 50 yards. They're fine.
He is 27 of 30. This for the tie, and he got it!
He made one again? God have mercy on their souls. Overtime awaits again. And the Ravens get ball first. Quick, someone remind Lamar to activate his clutch form.
Henry back in. Uh-oh, bobbing it. Loose. Oh, it's picked up. It's picked up on the play by Pratt.
There we go. Now we can cue Journey to Rome as usual and call it a day. Until Zach Taylor decided to be incompetent. A chance to bury your opponent. And you're running up the gut 3 times? 2 for no gain? Your passing game was crushing the Ravens. Why not cook something up there? Oh wait, I figured out your plan. Calling a timeout to ice the kicker. What?
He missed it. Wide left.
And the snap holder screwed the pooch. Why the fuck do you ice your own team? Did you learn that while holding McVay's jockstrap or something? Now you've allowed King Henry to once again rumble down the plains to slay you all. Just put them out of their misery, Baltimore. I'm disgusted.
The Ravens have won 3 consecutive games.
A chance to make a golden statement and you fuck it up as usual. How the hell do you waste Burrow's performance like that? I've been calling Zach Taylor a fraud since the moment he was hired, and I'm feeling justified in my statements. Making me eat shit is the easiest thing in the world, yet Taylor holds this team back from greatness. It'll be awful nice when the Bengals miss the playoffs by a game or 2. Definitely trending that way when you start 1-4. The Ravens simply laugh at them. Amateurs. Could have had commies Ravens here, but no. We have to suffer through some of the most unwatchable dreck this week. That's saying something. Part of me feels like New York was paid by bookies to take a dive. I know, strong statement, but considering how often they fucked up from not covering Joe Burrow on a long touchdown run to repeated failures on offense, there's credence. Why else would Danny Derps chuck a ball to nothing for an easy pick for Jermaine Pratt? New York's defense is holding their own? Good. That just means the offense will do absolutely nothing against one of the worst defensive units in the league. Getting the ball at half? Go for it on your own 38 and fade. Don't worry, the defense will bail them out again. And then finally, finally, they score a touchdown with the help of some zebras. About goddamn time. The defense rewards them by finally bending to get the Bengals in field goal range. But that's it. A 3-point game. All the Derp has to do is the bare minimum and they win. Not with Greg Joseph. Minnesota knows that failure well. There's another chance given for the G-men on offense, but remember that their QB is Daniel Jones. There will only be misery on failed fourth downs. The chance is gone. Cincy escapes with their second win on the year. The problem isn't that the Giants lost, it's that they were so wasteful. Countless opportunities to take a game undone by their own incompetence. Danny Derp sucks. Greg Joseph should have his leg amputated. The defense needs reparations. Cincinnati didn't necessarily win, but got bailed out by the G-men and Joe Burrow. Figures the game ends on another derped field goal. Them and Green Bay should fight to the death for a kicker. Winner gets a rehabbing, destroying for their social media team. Good news, Guardians fans. The Browns will cure you of your misery in incredible ways. Right after they give up this touchdown on the opening kickoff. Or so I think. Nick Chubb's back. It's truly a glorious day indeed. Cleveland may be doing next to nothing on offense, but the reality is that this is cause célèbre. Just don't pay attention to the game whatsoever. The Browns were given so many chances by Cincinnati to take advantage of their struggling offense. They feature one of the worst defenses in football statistically, but emphasizing Browns' futility, they can do nothing about it. After hours of torture, Joe Burrow drags this decaying corpse and ends the misery on display. In spite of a valiant defensive effort, they reinforce the factory of sadness that is their franchise. Just look at their new stadium proposal. It literally has the look down to a T. The same goes for Cleveland. Back to the days of an irrelevant joke franchise that opposing teams feast upon. Especially their rivals. And especially in their home stadium. Fortunately for them, nothing else happened of note. Nothing whatsoever. Just the loss to the Bengals, and that's that. I guess I have to go over it, don't I? Magic run of easy opponents is over, Bengals. There are no Deshaun Watson or DTR anchors to hold your opponent down this week. You get Philadelphia. And while Nick Sirianni does his best to gift opportunities to his adversaries, Zach Taylor equals him in the idiocy department. Or maybe it's just because the Eagles are significantly better in terms of talent. Probably that. Since he will fight and claw for every inch they can, but come the second half, the Eagles simply turn on the jets and fly. Turns out you need an elite running back and a strong O-line in this new age of football. Saquon's really damn good. The Bengals don't have anything close to him. Joe Burrow does all he can, but without a defense to stop anything, this jungle's going through deforestation. Want the secret to beating Cincy? Play them at their home. They haven't won there all year. If they lose to the Raiders next week, it's Paycor Stadium indeed. Philly reasserts themselves while dancing through a bajillion raindrops. It says something when a team is 5-2, yet no one thinks they're playing anywhere close to potential. They've won 3 straight to be fair, but this is the soft underbelly of the schedule. Take advantage of it. Playing the Raiders these days is like receiving a golden ticket. There's endless jubilation since it's going to result in all but a free win for their opponent in a given week. Even if there are many elements going against a team, say, not winning a game at home this year in a god-awful team defense, still an easy win. You're playing a tourist trap. It checked out weeks ago. Joe Burrow's gonna absolutely dominate like he always does. 5 touchdowns further decimate what's supposed to pass as an NFL defense, and he's still unsatisfied. He didn't even have T. Higgins and they destroyed the silver and black. It was a clinic. A mid-tier team beating up on a lower-level opponent to grind for XP. The only hope for fans of the autumn wind is turning the TV off and doing yard work or something. Gardner Minshew has devolved into garbage Minshew. Yet it somehow gets worse. Oh no. They're at the point of playing Desmond Mitter? I am so sorry, Raiders fans. I somehow underestimated how shit you are. Just let the Bengals kill you out of mercy. At this point, you can argue that continuing the year is a war crime. And the purge continues. Luke Getsy and a few others have been told to fuck off and never return. Chicago did try to warn you guys. AFC North football is a spectacle that confounds the imagination. taking you to distant lands where logic and decency are left to the wayside, where quarterbacks of incredible talent turn so-called strong defenses into ash and vapor. Two teams that showcase both their omnipresent strengths and their incredibly debilitating flaws on the national stage. Cincy's problem's simple. Zach Taylor's a kid who whipped up a thesis paper the night before the deadline, flinging up prayers when all they needed was a short gain to get a first down. The Ravens? They don't exactly have a pass defense. They don't have much of a defense in general. It reared its ugly head again on repeat here. The Burrow to Chase connection couldn't be stopped from coast to coast. That high-speed train also happened to run over Kyle Hamilton, so here's a fruit basket as compensation. The Bengals roar out to a strong lead at halftime, and then we all remember, oh right, the Bengals also don't have a defense. It's a Pac-12 throwback, baby. The defending 11 are merely decorative pieces meant to bedazzle the naked eye. Burrow countered by Lamar Jackson putting together a generational season one great play at a time. And we suddenly have a game again. Lou Anarumo's stock is crashing like it's September 1929. Or isn't that Justin Tucker? Both? It could also be the Bengals themselves if it weren't for high-end talent. Mr. Chase, I'd invest in bank vaults if I were you. But riddle me this. You have a 3rd and short and your answer is to dial up 2 go routes. Zach Taylor Astor class indeed. Baltimore can't let this gift pass up. They snag it for their own gain and score a touchdown to take the lead. But you know that this is AFC North football. Nothing comes easy, especially when Burrow, Chase, and ref ball are involved. Predictable games are so blasé. We need more death-defying feats and flags because we're addicted to the thrill. Even in a shootout, ref ball trumps all. With a good bit of assistance, the Bengals score a touchdown. But time is late. They want the kill.
To the right side he goes. Incomplete at the goal line.
I don't mind the decision for it even if the Ravens still had 2 timeouts. The real issue is the Bengals looking gift horses in the fucking mouth every chance they get. This was a game you needed, Cincy. Burrow's and Chase's valiant efforts were squandered and there's more than a few men to blame for it. Teams like Baltimore relish in it as they take another step towards vengeance. In spite of their awful defense. I don't think a game best represents peak Bungles and peak Chargers more than whatever the fuck we witnessed on Sunday night. 2 frustrating, perpetually cursed franchises branded with torment and turmoil. Liquid LA will step up to the plate first. Cincinnati's awful defense and poor management will ensure that they're undone at every turn. The Chargers' D is dominant. They are relentless and suffocating. Joe Burrow can do nothing. Meanwhile, Justin Herbert and company have carte blanche. They are destroying the hopes of everything Cincy holds dear. And with a 27-6 lead in the second half, it should be over. Keyword is should. My friends, if you're experienced in the meme world, you should know what's about to happen. Throughout history, a phenomenon has occurred known as chargering. It's when a surefire win for Liquid LA is squandered at every opportunity due to their recessive genes. The most basic tasks are floundered and their adversaries allowed to come back into the game. Or maybe it's just Joe Burrow being a god with Jamar and T wreaking havoc on the secondary. Either way, the Chargers are so embarrassed they should go back to San Diego. The game is tied. God, fuck you. Just want a blowout win for an easy segment and you pull this shit? Even worse. Since he decides at this moment, nah, we're good. We'll just fuck everything up from here. Evan McPherson channeled the spirit of Justin Tucker. Current year Justin Tucker. He went Democrat and kicked everything to the left. Really, Evan? One job and you can't even do that? So who the fuck even wants to win this game? Anyone? Please? Would it make sense just to tie? At this point, Jim Harbaugh just throws his hands in the air and says, fine, we'll take the win. Chargering's gotten too predictable. Let's throw a twist on the formula.
In front of Kane, Dobbins runs left. Dobbins takes off. Dobbins inside the 2. Dobbins to the end zone. In for the touchdown.
The Chargers did their best to choke this game away, but by God, the Bungles just wanted failure that much more. It's to be respected. Only a team as inept as them can repeatedly find ways to coach and play themselves into a cardboard box and be shipped off to Abu Dhabi. You have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins putting up the stats they do every week, and you're 4-7? Do you know how pathetic you have to be to waste such ability? These are generational seasons in franchise history, and they're turning into Trout and Shohei with the fucking Angels. Nothing around them. An inept fool at the helm. Mike Brown's cheapness undoing them at every turn. Even Jamar's pissed about it. LA escapes their own incompetence in the style of Staley. One word of advice. Don't turn around. There's absolute destruction behind you. If you were to tell me that Cincinnati was gonna put up 38 on the Steelers before the game, I'd be expecting a 3-score blowout. In no way, shape, or form would I believe that Pittsburgh would be the victor. Yet this is a new era, and it's one so lost it's using a map from the 1920s. I knew Cincy's defense was horrific, but I still underestimated their shittiness. Are they going to try to adjust to the Steelers or anything? It was like shooting fish in a barrel, bungling to give up over 500 yards of offense. To Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson had a throwback to his Seattle days against these boys. Congratulations, Cincy, you allowed the black and gold to score for 40 points for the first time since the Killer Bees. The Escaluzer's running on overdrive today. The Bengals were cashing Pittsburgh's pricey D with a run. What the hell did they abandon it? They chose to chase after a game they lost control of an age ago. Joe Burrow can't do every single damn thing with a game plan this one-dimensional. And it faded to a whimper with a strip sack, scoop, and score. One word, Bungles. Dagger. This was do or die, and you willingly buried yourself in an unmarked grave. Mike Brown's cheapness lurks in the shadows, undoing their ambitions. And the reward is a standard. Another non-losing season for Pittsburgh. The narratives will continue until morale improves, regardless of George Pickens losing composure. It's that time of the year again, when the playoffs start to peek into the picture and we discuss the scenarios at hand. Such a chaotic time, but not really for the AFC. Their picture's pretty much set, barring a collapse or two. Kansas City and Buffalo have already punched their tickets to the dance. Pittsburgh will most likely with another win. Houston's only saving grace is that their division is ass and they have tiebreaker over the Colts. Baltimore, the Chargers, and Denver bring up the surprising wildcards of this conference. Indianapolis is still gunning for that final spot, even if it's a long shot. Miami and Cincinnati are still alive, but barely. There's been a lot of disappointment for teams this season, but there's still a chance they remembered the rules.
Don't get eliminated!
Like The Simpsons, these are franchises that have been well past their prime for decades. Which is also why this game wasn't flexed. The NFL's pulling a solid for the sake of fan service. What fan service they're aiming for is anyone's guess. Consider these two groups like Marge's voice actress. Should be put out to pasture and their talent shredded by age and wear. Kind of like Zach Martin, but less sad than his potential career-ending injury. Still as bad as these defenses on the field of play. Who knew that bad unit facing bad unit would lead to a complete mess of missed tackles? If Dak were still healthy, it would have been even worse for the Bengals. So instead, we get something as uncanny as The Simpsons in 3D. It's definitely a game. That's all I'll say about that. It goes on for far too long and merely exists for the sake of nostalgia, nothing better being on. And I'm saying this as a guy who loved The Simpsons 20 years ago. Speaking of that number, the game's tied at 20 in the fourth quarter. And it will continue to be tied at 20. It's still tied at 20. Is either team gonna do anything? The defense has finally managed to show up 45 minutes late, but at least they're keeping things close. With time winding down, it feels like Dallas bullshit will prevail. Joe Burrow's head might have gotten all but ripped off, but Jerry Boy Venmo'd the refs to keep his team's minuscule chances alive. And they're gonna get more than that when they get the ball back.
That's blocked! And picked up by Cincinnati out across the 46.
Oh, didn't you people learn in high school? Peter, you imbeciles! Peter! That is such a Cowboys way to lose a football game. Have everything line up perfectly and then Amari Oruwariye becomes the second coming of Leon Lett. Way to go, you fool. The defensive momentum squashed and Jamar scores easily for Cincy to take the lead. Game over, season thrown in the perpetually burning tire fire. And the loss is far from the worst thing that happened to them tonight. DeMarvion Overshown has been one of the few bright spots on the Cowboys. That light shattered like his knee. So horrifying and brutal that he may be out all of 2025. What a fucking shame. It's official, the gods are pissed at Jerry Jones. We'll keep sleeping on Dallas, Micah. At this point, the whole franchise is jumping off the Springfield Gorge. 1 month left. Get your tickets to the postseason ready now or be left out in the cold. We know the drill by now. The AFC hasn't seen much change from last week. No clinchings, but Pittsburgh's one step closer. Houston, Baltimore, and Denver were on bye, but the Chargers lost to Kansas City's Black Magic, make it a three-way tie. It's not set in stone. Indianapolis is a paper-soft schedule to end the year. Beating Denver will go a long way towards a hilarious berth. Miami and Cincinnati are both still alive, but have a steep road ahead of them. You aren't out of the dance until you hear the dreaded words told to a few teams already. You know them by heart.
Don't get eliminated!
The day of reckoning has come. Which franchise? I don't know. Both, maybe? This was a game that showcased the many flaws of both teams. A disgrace to football displayed on all angles, but it does make for some good memes. Devondre Sweat sent Alex Kappa to the spirit realm, and I felt it from my desk several states over. Good lord, what a stiff arm. Say hi to Josh Norman while you're down there, Alex. If I have good news for the Bengals, their defense finally showed up for once this season. It might be against the modern Hindenburg with a literal meme at quarterback, but better late than never, I guess. Just really sloppy execution from two teams that fancy themselves as much better than what they really are. These fuckers combined for 10 turnovers and 26 penalties. More penalty yards than both teams had rushing. And Will Levis is something. Chucking off another terrible pass for a pick six, as is tradition with the Surrender Cobra. Then on the next drive, another terrible turnover, surprisingly not by Levis. But this one was undone by Jordan Battle pulling a Deshaun Jackson before the end zone. Or a Malachi Corley, depending on your recency bias. One more bad interception and that's enough memeing for a generation, Will. It's Christmas time, so Mason Rudolph the Red Zone Reindeer is due to guide a few sleighs. Quite frankly, these are two terrible teams and Tennessee out-terribled them. Who knew all it took for the Bengals to not waste Joe Burrow's efforts was facing a poorly coached shit heap? A most shocking revelation indeed. 3 games remain. This week was critical in deciphering the playoff formulas, but it doesn't mean that we're anywhere close to a solution. We need to go deeper. The AFC's #1 seed is Kansas City's for now, but with Buffalo's tiebreaker and the Mahomes injury, things could be getting complicated there. The AFC North will be all but decided this Saturday. Steelers and Ravens locking horns. If Pittsburgh wins, they clinch it outright. If Baltimore breaks them, they control their own destiny there. The loser will secure a wildcard spot, and the other two are up for grabs. Denver's all but secured one with last week's win, but the Chargers are solely in 7th. They should make it barring a collapse. They do fall Indy gets first rights, followed by Miami and Cincy. All 3 are on life support, however. Get ready. These words are gonna come in handy.
Don't get eliminated!
Bengals are trying everything in their power to prevent doctors from pulling the plug on their playoff hopes. Good news for them, Cleveland exists. Though the antidote's simply playing these games to collect paychecks. When you start fucking DTR, you aren't doing so to win. God's sake, they can barely nudge the ball forwards most of the time. We're out here pretending that no net yards of passing against a terrible defense is the best a team can do. Are the Browns just conditioning their fans for another year of Deshaun Watson sucking a QB? Of course, since he won. It's the modern Dan Marino against an offense programmed by AI. Allowed to coast by the 3rd quarter. They may be in a medically induced coma needing 15 miracles to survive, but the Bengals ain't dead yet. If Burrow has to carry this team on his back to Denver, so be it. The time has come to crunch. We're nearing the finish line. And there's still plenty of positions at the round table to play for. The #1 seed in the AFC will be decided as such. Kansas City's a winning clinch. The Bills need to win out and the Chiefs to lose out to secure it. It's very possible considering their respective opponents. The AFC North is wide open after the Ravens win last week. However, the Steelers still control their own destiny. But if Pittsburgh slips up, Baltimore can make their move. The wildcard slots are pretty much set in stone, barring a collapse or two. Liquid LA and Denver are all but a shoo-in, just needing to win and they're in. The Broncos' opponents aren't exactly slouches, though. Indy, on the other hand, is playing glorified JV squads. Cincy and Miami are also chomping at the bit if they fall apart. Don't be left out in the cold, NFL world, lest you suffer the greatest humiliation.
Don't get eliminated!
Survival instincts have to kick in for both squads. The Bengals are paying for defensive fuck-ups past, while the Broncos aren't hoping the clock's already struck midnight. Things are eerily quiet until the second half. Both teams are merely trying to feel out their opponent for potential weaknesses. The Their outer shells are both sturdy and formidable, but after probing and prying, they'll both begin their attack. Offensive firepower overcoming the supposed defenses in front of them. Joe Burrow dicing up his prey as usual, and Bo Nix dicing up the Bengals' D as usual for Cincy. The game continually tied up with Denver countering every Cincinnati charge. But then the dreaded adversary of any offense appears for the Bengals. A fumble. It gives Denver a chance to win and be playoff bound. But a miracle happened. Mo Picks returned on another terrible interception. Such a blessing deserves an equal present for the Christmas spirits. Zach Taylor being a moron. How shocking. All he had to do was kneel the ball and kick a field goal with limited time remaining to win the game. A touchdown's perilous since Denver gets the ball back in a one-score game. And with that terrible Cincy defense, are you shocked that they're giving up yards en masse? Look, it's 4th and 1 with time winding down. Stop them here and win it.
Anarumo saying, get over the top of Sutton. Burden the block. And Nix will throw it. It is caught. Touchdown! Touchdown! Mims got the ball!
Fucking hell, Bungles. Bo's chucking a desperation heave into double coverage. How the fuck did Mims come up with that? Now it's tied and your season lies in the balance of overtime. The Bengals pretty much do nothing on their first drive. Fortunately for them, Mo Picks returned yet again, overshooting a wide-open target to force a punt. Cincy, here's your chance. Prime field position, and Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. It's gonna come down to a chip shot field goal. Any NFLer worth his salt can make it. You know, maybe Zach was right to not kick the field goal in the 4th. Denver doesn't even have to win now. A tie gets them to the promised land just as equally. All they need are a few first downs. And Mo Picks showed up again. How many goddamn opportunities have you had, Broncos? Bengals kept bungling everything away, yet you were just too kind to capitalize. If you want their high-end talent, will.
And Burrow with the ball. 1st and goal. End zone. Caught. Higgins. Touchdown. Bengals win. And they are alive in the playoff race.
Since he didn't just save their season, but 2 others in the process. It'll take many miracles for the Bengals to get there, but it's the thought that counts. The Bronco implosion continues, but Kansas City should be resting their starters next week. You're not gonna fuck this up, right, Denver? Mo Picks isn't gonna show up against the Chiefs, right, Denver? This week settled a lot of questions, particularly with seeding in the AFC. The contestants have dwindled to a few, but there are a couple of spots up for grabs, mainly in the AFC. The North is still undecided. Baltimore now controls their own destiny in this regard. Win and claim it. If they lose and Pittsburgh wins, the division will run through them instead. The final piece of the AFC puzzle is the 7th seed. Denver holds it for now, but a skid leaves them in danger. They're fortunately still win or tie and in. If they slip up, Miami gets the spot if they win. If Denver and Miami lose, Cincy will sneak into the picture. If everyone loses, the Broncos still get it. Oh, what a time it is to be a fan. The stakes are higher than ever. And there are 3 words that echo throughout time and space.
Don't get eliminated!
The main attraction that many are interested in is the 7th seed in the AFC. Who will earn the right to get their asses kicked in Buffalo? Will it be Denver, who has first right to it? Will it be Miami, who can pull it off with a Broncos loss? Or will it be the Bengals, who need miracles for it to happen? Might as well start out with Cincy and hope for the best. So here we are again. Same fucking script as years before. I bought the hype. The offense was doing things for once. I rode the Yinzermobile. They had a legit shot at the Super Bowl. 10-3, a chance to take the North, the opportunity to do everything imaginable. The Steelers chose the standard. Absolute collapse. Again. But hey, Tomlin got the most overrated stat in the world because of splash plays and fluke bullshit. They made the traditional get their asses kicked by a real team invitational. And they didn't have to have another team inexplicably self-destruct to do it. Week 18 was the apex. The Bengals had everything to play for, yet only have 4 guys that can do anything on their roster. I had the Bengals winning, but not for whatever the hell I witnessed here. Then we remember that their offseason solutions were Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith. This was some of the greatest clock management and play calling I've seen since Eberflus against the Lions. That's scheming at the end of the first half. Fuck's sake. The QB sneak on 3rd and 1 doesn't get it, so on 4th down you run a halfback dive with Jalen Warren. What the hell did you draft Najee for? Not that it matters since the QB has gone back to the standard it's been since 2018. Good lord, when a team needed Seattle, Russ, he cooked up Carson Wentz against the Jags in 2021. What the fuck was that, my dude? I knew you were a low-end starter when the Steelers signed you, but it was as if Nathaniel Hackett was your coach. Checkdowns galore, terrible decisions trying to hero ball while having no chemistry with anyone. It was worth the experiment, but time to get the fuck out, buddy. Let's ride to the unemployment line and a starting job with the Giants. Don't worry, the O-line won't block Trey Hendrickson for shit either. You draft 2 tackles in the first round and Dan Moore's still your blindside blocker, but at least he shows up unlike George Pickens. You're gonna pout and bitch during interviews. You're gonna argue with fans and anyone you come across. You're gonna take off plays and half-ass most routes you run, and you put together that shit? GP made Carson Wentz look like John Elway. 1 reception for no yards. 4 drops. From a supposed number 1. I knew it was gonna be 3 or 4 years before he ran himself off the team. And that's the only thing he's successfully doing. This entire franchise needs to grovel at the feet of TJ and Cam and beg for their eternal forgiveness. Wasting 2 more of their excellent seasons carrying this team on their backs while Patrick Queen misses tackles and Joey Porter Jr. and Minka do pretty much nothing. Sacrifice this pathetic offense in the hopes that they can stay healthy and do more anime shit to mask the million issues with the team philosophy and structure. But don't you worry, there's gonna be so much fluke bullshit and the opponent self-destructing that it's gonna give the morsel of hope. Pittsburgh had plenty of chances to commit grand larceny. Bengals special teams gifting the greatest present imaginable as the camera points towards Danny Smith like he did anything to make it happen. The Steelers offense shits it. But Boswell bails the team out for the 11 billionth time and they kick a 50-plus yard field goal. The Bengals just need a few first downs, yet they only have 4 players on their team. Zach Taylor's incompetence and high-end talent strike again. And the black and gold have a chance to shock everyone, even their fan base. But then we get to hell. That pathetic excuse of a 2-minute drill. 1 timeout, down by 2, all the momentum in the world, and you waste clock like it's going out of style. You might as well have handed Cincy the win right there. You burn a minute 40 and you gain 15 yards. 15! What the fuck are you doing, Russ? Hero balling with a barrage of checkdowns. Run out of bounds. Spike the fucking ball, my dude. Denver's smug as hell right now, you know that? But the final 3rd down, oh, that 3rd down was something. This was one of the worst routes I've ever seen. At least I get what Russ was trying to do, even if he fucked it up. Pickens was... Ugh. I'm done with this cancer. You're gonna pull this shit, get the fuck off the team. Trade his ass for a 3rd round pick to Denver or something. Like Deontay and Chase and Juju and AB and Martavis before him. The circle of life. And then Freiermuth drops a pass like everyone else and the season may as well have died right there. Since he was giving them every goddamn opportunity in the book to win, the Steelers kindly let it pass. One of the best ones thrown by them all game. Fuck off. Just go to Baltimore and fucking die. See you next year for the same damn shit as the last 7. It's been a long while, Denver. For the first time since their Super Bowl run with the withered husk of Peyton, a new Peyton will lead the way. The house money of the playoffs await. Well, Bungles, I don't know what to tell you. The team was Joe Burrow turning into the modern Dan Marino with an atrocious defense that fell apart at the seams. Painful loss after painful loss as Burrow, Chase, and Higgins couldn't do every single damn thing. Yet even for all the 1-score losses, missed kicks, and failed 2-point conversions, you know what undid them? A Week 1 loss to the Patriots. We knew that was going to hurt them at the time, but missing the playoffs? People have to be getting canned for this. Those feeling the brunt of it are Lou Anarumo and a few other assistants. Remember when Anarumo was a head coaching candidate? Life moves by fast.
Miss.
Joe Burrow is becoming the modern Dan Marino before our very eyes. If only he wasn't on a team with 5 real players, he'd have a legit chance in Lombardi. Yet that's too hard for the Bungles to understand. They have a terrible case of tunnel vision. Years of trying to put Burrow in a cocoon. Years of trying to build an offensive line with mixed results. And in the process, they completely neglected the defensive side of the ball. Kind of hard to do much of anything when the infrastructure on that end's corroding at the foundations. The only thing with a dam on that end was Trey Hendrickson. He's still a beast, but the problem is you need 11 guys performing. That certainly didn't happen. They were getting buried by every opponent under the sun. Burrow and Chase were performing at a generational pace, and Cincy still didn't make the playoffs. How many games did Joe lead them to over 30 points this year only to lose? These guys gave up over 40 points and 500 yards to the fucking Steelers, for God's sake. They're stuck in the offensive Stone Age and they did that? Lou Anarumo was given a one-way ticket out of the city, but he's a scapegoat. This failure lies squarely at the foot of the cheap-ass ownership that's held them back for decades. T's more than gone this offseason, and they're having trouble finding common ground with Jamar. Zach Taylor will still exist, however. When they'll finally do something to fix the defense, yet somehow neglect something else. It's the Bengal way. Have all the flash, but lose to the damn Patriots in Week 1 to cost them in the end.